Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to today's water cooler chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's orchestrating, delegating, gatewaying. Is that what we're calling it now? Gatewaying, AI inference, or anything to do with Livepeer. We're here to ask questions and get answers. So we got a few topics ahead of us: the Livepeer FFMPEG upgrade, some AI metrics and visibility pre-proposal, errors with the gateway, and feedback for the new AI release. So let's jump into firstly the pre-proposal. I think with a good topic because it's kind of to do with AI and other things. Mike, do you want to tell us a little bit about the pre-proposal, what you're looking to achieve out of it, and how soon you'd be sending it to the Treasury?
Yep. Again, we've kind of been working on this proposal for quite a while. We've been back and forth on scope and just trying to figure out what the right set of capabilities we wanted to build on in our next round of projects for our SPE. And I think after running AI Gateway for quite a while now, we determined that, I think orchestrators probably would agree that it's, we need to see, how our orcs are performing and, what it looks like in terms of performance and pricing and all those good things. So, and I think there's been an interest from the AI SPE to get a AI leaderboard on the Livepeer Explorer. So given the AI SPE doesn't have the bandwidth to start working on it, we decided this was probably a good project where the Livepeer Cloud SPE could jump in here and help build that out. So a bunch of components involved in the proposal. It's been, there's a job tester. There's some, as I said, the AI Explorer, having a leaderboard on the Explorer, and also adding more data to the Vercel leaderboard data. So these are all the key components of the proposal. And again, we've had it out on the forum now for a few days, 4 days. We're looking to probably post it as a Treasury proposal tomorrow, first thing in the morning after we get through our round of questions today. So we've had a couple questions already. I think it's pretty straightforward, but we're here to entertain any questions that folks have.
Mike, do you want to kick us off with some questions, some general questions you've had, and then you just want to answer them so that you can kind of give us a rundown of what people have been asking already?
I think there were two questions, and they're on the proposal if you take a look at the forum. But it basically was some of the verbiage in our proposal was, related to the three components that we're building. They all build off of the existing repos that are there today. So Livepeer Explorer is a repo. The AI job tester we're looking to build, we were proposing building it off of the stream tester. So similar to the way the stream tests come through each orchestrator. So we're going to kind of try to leverage these different repos. And then there was another one, the Vercel leaderboard app. And our proposal said may use these. And I think Nico pointed out that it might be a good idea to actually build on the existing tool set instead of trying to come up with new ones. We were in agreement completely that we're not going to throw away any of these tools. We're going to try to build on them as best as we can. Obviously, we got to take care not to break anything and make sure that, we keep them working and functioning. So I think that was the big question. And then there was also another question about the licensing. We mentioned in there we would probably use an Apache 2 license, but it's, probably a little bit, it's not restrictive at all, but we rather give, full permissive license that's MIT. So anyone can take this code, use it, modify it, do whatever they want. So I think those were the basic questions. Again, I think the proposal is rather straightforward if folks want to take some time and give it a read. But again, those were, I think, just little nuanced questions, but that's what we had so far.
Very cool. Does anyone else have questions about the pre-proposal or questions to the team about kind of what they're doing?
I just wanted to add one thing to what Mike was saying. Well, we will be using similar tech to the current stream tester. It's quite a bit different for AI when you consider that the stream tester right now has one job type, and with AI we have, I don't even know off the top of my head how many pipelines and different models, and then all the combinations of those. So it's quite a bit more complex than the current stream tester. So it's not like we're just taking the stream tester that's there and just adding this to it. I mean, it'll have the same functionality, but it'll be quite a bit of it'll be quite different in the way that it's working behind the scenes, and it will also have the ability to be updated as new models and pipelines come out, which seems to be happening more and more frequently. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that and add that to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. The other thing I'd like to add too is that, the Livepeer cloud team, Livepeer Inc. runs the stream tester today, and they do the publishing of the tests, and they fund their gateway for the test. We plan to roll out, multi-region testing as well, and we will be running that infrastructure and supporting the AI AI tester tool. So we expect to see, quite a bit of jobs coming from the tester as well as our main Livepeer cloud gateway. So we expect to definitely put the network to the test, especially as we start to build this application out. So we will be submitting plenty jobs over the next several weeks into a couple months.
Yeah, I'm just kind of reading through the pre-proposal now and just kind of picking up some items. It looks like a wonderful initiative. A couple questions around funding here. You've done a nice breakdown of the costs that you're going to be looking for. So the Livepeer, I just want to go through each line item just because it's here. So the Livepeer Explorer modification, what does that mean? Is it going to be is the stream tester going to be visible within the default Livepeer Explorer? Is that kind of the idea behind it?
Yeah, if you take a look at the architectural drawing, they all kind of like feed on each other. So we are going to be, the Livepeer Explorer specifically there's the leaderboard, performance leaderboard today for transcoding jobs, and we're not 100% sure on the UX and what it might look like at this point, but our intent is to put the AI performance metrics inside of the leaderboard today as it exists. So it has a ranking of orchestrators, their scores, their performance, and we plan to leverage that as well. So we're going to put in as much of the AI data that we can put in there and make it look useful. But the goal is to modify that and make it similar to what we see with transcoding.
Yeah, and the purpose of that is that's so that orgs can see how they are comparing to other orgs in one spot versus the Vercel app that which will also have we'll have an API that you can use to view your own metrics in a Grafana panel that we will also document and explain how to create the JSON or how to pull in the JSON file and make a panel so you can see your own metrics. But then again, if you want to compare and see how you're doing to everyone else, you can see that on the leaderboard.
Yep.
Great. Some other items here: leaderboard, data collection, and API modifications. So is that storing of the data? So is that the cost to store the data and have it publicly available?
Yeah, I mean, there's an existing code base that has the leaderboard collection, and we're basically going to take that and refactor it in a way that allows us to keep the existing transcoding APIs in place, but allow for additional job types. So the job types that we're going to be adding today obviously are AI related, but as the network evolves and changes, we want to make it so that it's clean and easy for new work that is added to the network to be easily added to that API data. So yes, collecting the data, storing the data, and then allowing users to access that data. That is our goal.
Cool. So I see on line item 4, it basically states, like infrastructure, DevOps, network fees. So that line item is for, the actual cost of upkeep and fees of infrastructure. Are the first 3 line items there then like the Livepeer Explorer, the leaderboard data, and the AI job tester and test routines? Are those costs just for the development of the open source code, and then that last line item is the cost to run it? Is that kind of how it's structured?
Yeah. Each of the 3, the first 3 line items are, for the 3 developers or the 3 of us working on it concurrently over, each of them are several weeks of work. We'll be working, all 3 of us, on all of them, and we'll be building them out one by one. And then the last item is definitely deployment, running it in production, and then also, funding all of the tests that get submitted throughout the network.
Excellent. Yeah, so I'm sure some people are not looking at, probably most people are not looking at this. Just to give you a breakdown, the Livepeer modification of the Explorer is $37,000. The Livepeer, the leaderboard data collection, $46,000. The AI job tester would be $49,000. So those are the 3 lines that would basically be, development, and then the last line here is infrastructure, DevOps, network fees is $21,000 for a grand total of $153,000 worth of LPT to submit to the Treasury. That's kind of the breakdown here. That infrastructure and DevOps and networking, how long is that for? Is that for 1 year? Is that for kind of the indefinite future of like what's the time frame on that?
Yeah, we didn't put a time frame on it. I mean, we plan to run this for as long as we can. As Doug pointed out before, if possible, and there's interest, there might be some sort of commercial offering. There's nothing planned at this moment for that, but we definitely want to run this as long as we can. So based on the current fees and the work we plan, we're in it for the duration. So, I would say at a minimum, it's going to be a year, but we're probably going to run it indefinitely going forward.
Definitely. Yeah, it seems like a very robust pre-proposal and a lot of information there. So just looking for timelines. Is there a timeline, or is it
Yeah, there's a milestone section. I think the plan is that, we're going to start building this immediately as soon as the proposal. I mean, obviously, we're hoping it passes. I think everybody has a desire to see how they rank in the Explorer, and also, how frequently folks go in and look at that interpreter app to see if they're failing tests. It's good to see what your performance is, and if you're failing or passing tests. I know as an orchestrator right now, I'm pretty blind, and I'm always trying to figure out if something's wrong, because I don't win tickets on AI as much as I want to, obviously. So I think having that data is important. But and again, for us, the timeline is we're looking. It may take us up to 3 months to build this out. We're hoping that we can expedite it and get it done sooner. But it looks like, based on the current scope that we have and the current visibility we have, it looks like it may take us up to 3 months to do all of this work.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think it's a great initiative. I think it would give a lot of introspection into just like what is available in the network, how you're doing, and just like we all use the current stream tester to kind of see like, my node is not performing. Like what happened? I think it's a critical piece of software that would increase the reliability of the network. I know that the stream tester has been very impactful for me getting started. Well, every day basically, and for a lot of other orchestrators. So.
Yeah, we agree with that, Titan. That's why I think we felt like the time was right to actually get this built. And I know the AI SBE has been focused on, getting the pipelines built out and getting new models onboarded, and they've got their hands busy, with all of that work. So this was one that if we didn't step up to build it, we'd be all blind for quite a while. But at the same time, we feel like the delegators, right? Like folks that are going to come to the Livepeer network, they want to understand what's going on. Right now, there's really no way for anyone outside of the orchestrator community who's like on the ground working in AI to actually get a visibility, get a peek into what's happening on the AI subnet. So I know with the AI generator, we created the ability to see the models that are loaded, but this will actually give you that breakdown that says, every single model that's running in the infrastructure, you can find it now on the Explorer, and you'll be able to look at the top performing orcs. And we're hoping that might also inspire delegators to start moving stake again to those that are focused on building out this AI subnet, because we think it's a critical piece of the Livepeer infrastructure going forward. So we hope that it's going to do that. And I think based on what we saw when the stream tester came out for transcoding, we think it's going to be just as impactful.
Yeah, well said, Mike. I just wanted to add that it's an extremely trivial component of the AI subnet. I'm extremely happy that you take it on. Currently, like you said, we're blind. Apart from seeing our own data, for orchestrators, delegators have no way to see this. And also, the current tester that I have is so simple that I just send requests to see if they don't fail. So I don't collect any data. So this is really needed, and I'm really happy that you take it.
A little low, Rick, on the volume. I think I heard you, but I appreciate the feedback.
Does it work better now?
Yeah, sounds a little better.
Okay, yeah, I changed my settings. Yeah, just to repeat, I think there's an extremely a trivial component of the AI subnet, and I'm extremely happy that you take it on, so that we are no longer blind to this data.
Thank you.
Very good.
Anyone else have any questions for us? I mean, we'll keep it out there. The forum post will be there for at least tomorrow, and we hope to get any other additional feedback. But I think it looks like, based on what we've seen so far, we'll be posting that guy live on the Treasury tomorrow. Probably Pacific time in the AM. So keep an eye out for it. We'll be in the Discord posting when the proposal is live. So hope everybody takes a read and gives a vote. And, this is important. And I think we can get this thing through and build this software.
Very good. Any other questions or comments from the Livepeer Cloud team? Papa Bear?
I have nothing to add to what Mike said or what I said earlier. But again, we're always happy to answer any questions, and whether they're here or if someone wants to, post in the forum, Discord, we're always around.
Very cool. Great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to invite more people up to stage. We've had some more people join. Feel free to put up your hand if you want to come up. Otherwise, we do have a couple people that have joined us. Chase Media. Chase, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic? Nope, no worries. Okay, cool. Let's continue on. Our next... Varies has joined us. Varies, would you like to introduce yourself on a topic?
Hi all, I've been running the Where's in the West.eth orchestrator since like 5+ years. No specific topic, just listening in.
Very good. Okay, let's continue on. We'll go on to the topic of the Livepeer new release, which is I believe the 0.7.6, I think it is. That one is the FFmpeg upgrade and a couple other enhancements to the reliability of the transcoding process, I believe. I upgraded a node to the latest and have seen pretty good results. I actually don't know if the reason for the better handling of streams is because of the upgrade or if it's just a coincidence, but the streams seem to be more sticky, so that's been really positive. Anyone else do the upgrade and have any feedback?
Yeah, I upgraded all my nodes and everything seems good here. I did see some chatter about possible issues that needed to be fixed somewhere in this Discord. But other than that, things have been pretty good on my end. Seems smooth.
Yeah, when I first updated my first node to it, I was seeing just some just short streams coming in, but I think it was just a coincidence, and that I haven't seen it come up since then. So if anyone saw that and is concerned about updating because of that post, it seems to have just been a weird coincidence, because I have not seen anything like that since. Probably should have updated the post to mention that, but for anyone here, just heads up on that. I mean, it's been running smooth for me.
Was there a CUDA upgrade required as part of this? I saw some talks about driver version updates. I think you need to be at the 550 version of the driver. Are there any other technical constraints? Because I have not updated yet. That's on my hit list this week.
Yeah, so what I tested, and it could be that you could use a lower, but I think the 12.4 is really needed from CUDA. I tested the other versions under there. And the 550, I think, is also needed because of some codecs.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure if anyone else hasn't upgraded that they make sure they pay attention to their software versions. That's nothing more painful than taking a node down and then realizing you need to update more than just the Livepeer software. So keep a heads up for that.
Yeah, and I think still the Docker container has to be updated. So I have to look at this for the AI subnet as well. So I will try to see if that one needs updated. Otherwise, you have to make sure that the 550 is not readily available on Ubuntu lower than 24. So Brad got it working on 22. I didn't get it working quickly enough, so I just switched to 24 and upgraded my system. But with the Docker container also being correct, that will not be an issue anymore.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think I was able to get it to work with like 545 on an older machine, my Singapore machine. I couldn't get 550 to work, but 545 with the correct version of CUDA seemed to go through. And for anyone who hasn't done this yet, it won't let you start your O if you're not on the right CUDA version. It will tell you that you need to update. So just look out for that.
Yeah, it's I think it's a compiler compatibility issue with CGG. So it needs the right version there.
Yeah, I ran into issues with the 550 driver not being able to patch it. So I don't know if that's been fixed recently or not. So I hope so, because I had problems on Ubuntu and I ended up rolling back, which is why I hope to tackle it this week.
Yes, it's fixed. I have it running. The patch worked fine. So I think they released it for the 550 on the patch.
Cool. Thank you. I was worried when I did it like literally just by chance last week. And it was like right before the release came up, I was like patching servers just in general, getting them updated, because I tend to do that once or so a month. And again, I got snagged by that patch not being available. So hopefully that's all sorted out. That's good.
Yeah, I'm double checking now, but they released the 550, and otherwise it's a really easy way to create these patches. It's just a 3-line code change, I think. But
I never looked at it. I just took for granted that team does their work. So that's pretty cool.
I got impatience one time, but they were still quicker than me. So.
Awesome.
But this version, I have this version running. So the latest one, 550.100, and that one worked on my machine. At least the patch worked. I haven't tested the transcoding side yet, but the AI side works with everything here. So there are no conflicts building, there are no conflicts running, but
Awesome. I love it. Thank you.
yeah, and like I said, I try to go through the Docker container, at least for the AI video brands, and merge it back into the main brands this week somewhere. So I think it will be an upgrade of the CUDA drivers. I have to ask the studio team how they release this different CI image. But apart from that, it will be straightforward, I think. So yeah, Josh did a really amazing job. So shout out to him. He's not here, but
I must have joined late because I don't really know Josh. Be interesting to hear from him and see why he came back. It sounds like Brad mentioned he came back to help get that FFmpeg 7 upgrade over the hump. So sounds like a really good person to have on the team.
yeah, he's amazing. I think he worked for Livepeer before some time ago, and he wrote most of the Livepeer media stack. So he is really the right person to take this on.
Awesome, that's great.
I think I'll see if I can reach out to him. Maybe we can bring him in to do a water cooler chat. But yeah, a Q&A session. But I don't know his involvement with Livepeer, if he's coming back long term or if it's short term or kind of what that is. I know that he was here a lot in the beginning and then he left to go do other things because he's quite interested in a lot of things. So that's what I have been told. So yeah.
So does this FFmpeg 7 upgrade now clear the path for an AV1 on Livepeer?
Not 100% sure. So it allows AV1, yeah, so it should work. But I think Bradke is the better person to answer this.
Brad.
Otherwise, type it in the chat, Brad. That's all there.
I pulled him up.
Yay, Brad.
I pulled him up. Where are you? Get that microphone going.
No, but he's gonna audio problems.
Audio problems.
But FFmpeg shoots.
There it goes.
You don't got audio
Great.
problems, buddy. Give us
I wish
give us
I
the
had audio
lowdown.
problems.
Yeah, give us
Why
the
don't you
lowdown.
leave me alone. Let me listen.
No, there is no leaving you alone.
Yes. So yes, it clears the path for AV1, but there's still plumbing that has to be put through Go Livepeer to get that to happen. That's not on the immediate horizon as far as I know. But yeah, Josh came in to get it over the hump. I was running into test issues, and since he wrote it initially, he was able to get it to work all the way through. I was pretty close. I just couldn't get there. C is hard for me. It takes me forever. So I sent up the white flag in trying to best interest of the network, not leave it with me, but send up the white flag and ask for help. They were able to get him to come on. I think he's here through the summer or a couple more months or something like that. He was also a lot of help with getting us trying to get the audio duration on files for our Whisper pipeline. So he was a lot of help with that too. He's got an immense amount of knowledge.
Sounds like an awesome dude.
Is the main was the main reason though for? I mean, I know we've wanted to upgrade to the latest version of FFmpeg for quite a while, but will we see any difference in quality from just that, or is this really more to pave the way to add additional features because we're now using something that's not, I don't know how many years old the last version was.
I think there's going to be probably some quality improvements from just a few years of, bug fixes and fixing things as they came through. But the main focus was, pave the way for features, hardware, to be added to the network.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Nothing specifically like was talked about with that with me anyway. But
yeah,
that's
I
the main
completely
focus.
forgot about the hardware aspect of it. Yeah, I was just thinking from software, but yeah, I forgot that this is also should help with the net and maybe quick sync and that kind of stuff too. I completely forgot about that stuff.
Oh yeah, net in cards
just
was a thing for a while. Kind of faded
focused
away.
on AI lately. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
when
exciting
Rick,
stuff. Yeah.
when Rick dials back the work I have to do with him, I can try to test the AV1 a little bit, but at this current time, I have absolutely zero bandwidth to do that.
Fair enough. But
sorry, guys.
Well, I'm happy that we're doing it, we're moving forward. So again, we got to get Josh up here for a Q&A. I met one of his friends at ETH Denver, and he spoke very highly of Josh, and basically, was like he was a founding, kind of one of the fundamental people in the beginning of Livepeer. So yeah, we'll see if we can get him up here. Brad, do you know his capacity? If he's around, is he going to stick around? He pushed the update. Is he going to be here, or is he kind of come and gone?
I think he's here for a little bit, but I'm not sure the duration exactly. With that, maybe he'll stay longer, maybe not.
Have we is it, when he updated FFmpeg, is it going to be easier to update in the future for us to maintain, or is this kind of, are we stuck at this FFmpeg again for a while until we do another overhaul?
Good question.
I don't know that FFmpeg is ever easy to update, to be honest with you. But if we can stay on it more, if we can try to stay on trying to do the upgrade, we can limit the API changes that we have to deal with, So, but that's going to be probably more of a community-led effort. I think that we might want to stay on this version for a little while to allow features and other things to be developed around it.
So we can just call upon Brad to update FFmpeg when we need. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly what I heard him say. That's exactly what I just heard Brad say. So yeah.
I'm not against trying again, but stuff is hard.
Was it the experience with C that you had your problems, or was it the architecture of the implementation?
I think it's honestly a little bit of both. I got it to work. What I couldn't get it to do was get through all the tests. So getting it to work is in quotes, because yes, it worked and transcoded fine, but I couldn't get it to pass all the tests. And there's a lot of tests, rightfully so, on nuances and corner cases and other different kinds of cases that they've experienced in the past, right? So for me, it's a little bit of both. FFmpeg's a little bit hard. The error messages are atrocious most of the time. It just says like incorrect configuration or something along those lines, and you have to try to figure out where that is. And then also the C is not one of my strong languages to write stuff in.
Don't feel bad. It's not one of many people's strong languages. That's why they invent new languages, so people don't have to use it anymore.
Yeah, it's a hard language. But I think we need to do some, as we develop the subnet, we also need to do some changes ourselves in the Livepeer media server. So I hope that also my team gets more experience with the software, so that we have also from the studios side, but also from the AI team, we have multiple people that can work with the software. And I think I would love to have a chat with Josh to give some insights.
So Brad, you mentioned that it was the tests that were giving you the issues. Do you believe that, but you did have a working, pipeline with AV1 prior to Josh coming in. Do you think that, the tests are akin to better code? Do you think that they were necessary to get past those tests, or
yeah,
would you have been happy to maybe fork it or just go with what you had and let her buck kind of.
I kind of did that in my own testing environment, but the tests are there for a reason. They've hit some problem at some point, right? And then they wrote a test to cover for that, so they don't ever hit that problem again. I will never know all the problems that they did run into, but I definitely was not on the side of, well, we should just scrap these tests. We don't need them anyway. I think we should keep them and get them to work again. I did try to talk to Josh as he was getting through that, and he gave me some, advice and pointers and taught me some things on how I could approach that better than I did.
Yeah, deleting a failed test is probably not a good idea.
It's like, this never existed. I don't have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah, if it doesn't fail, if it doesn't run, it won't ever fail. So delete.
It's on one of my pet projects. We'll just force push it and it just never existed.
Yeah. Nice.
But it's not okay in a production environment.
Yeah, no. As soon as you delete the test and you deploy it, some orchestrator crashes because of it, right?
No, what happens is we get that stream, like one stream will go around to every single orchestrator and fail, and then everyone will say, "Hey, I got this stream and it did this weird error thing here, and I got that too. I got that too. I got that too." So
did Eddie maybe found out already?
It didn't, and I don't think this. That weird error we get right now. It did not. I don't think that's fixed in this. I think we have to switch to a different decoder in FFmpeg and to fix that, and that just takes a little more architectural type changes or algorithm type changes, which way you want to call it, in our implementation of FFmpeg to execute. So they got split. I don't think that's been abandoned, but they wanted to do the FFmpeg upgrade first as it sits, so keep as many variables the same as possible, and then they might look at that, trying to fix that generic qubit error.
Great. Well, I'm glad to see that we got a push out for the latest. Is it the latest FFmpeg, or is it just a much newer version?
7.0.1. I think it's the latest. Like, FFmpeg goes on kind of annual cycle, I think, with those .0 versions. So it's about as bleeding edge as we can get.
Rick says latest. Very cool. That's exciting. Any other updates or questions about the FFM upgrade or comments around that?
No, just shout out to Brett as well. He really helped it forward as well. I tried his work and it worked before the test. So. Both Josh and Brett, thank you so much.
We all love Brad. Thanks, Brad. Especially going into that C code. You're a brave dude.
The AI stuff's a lot more fun to work on, I will say.
Yeah, man.
But I appreciate it, Rick.
Very good. Well, that's a good segue into AI. Let's jump into that one. So, Rick, your topic was around the AI release feedback. Could you tell us what was in the latest AI release and what feedback you're looking for, please?
Yeah, just to double check, my microphone is working perfectly now.
Yes, you're loud and clear, actually.
Yeah, great. I was doing some streaming, so I changed my settings. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I just mainly only wanted feedback if people are already using the metrics. Are they up to par? What people are expecting? Are there questions about the metrics? Because the latency scores, for example, can be complicated. And I can tell you a little bit about how my team designed those. Also, this what was in there in total. Just let's sum it up again. It's the audio to text pipeline. We also call it the speech to text. It's still a little bit. We're still a little bit in the midst about naming it because all other websites use both terms. We have gateway and orchestrator metrics in the software. So compared to really the tester that I'm really excited about the cloud, these are really simple metrics for yourself, for a gateway and orchestrator to see which requests have been sent, what the latency score was and what the price was, and there is a separation between AI tickets, so the value paid also shows up at the AI side now. There is stable diffusion tree support, and the number of inference steps is now available for each pipeline. That was being done in a bounty by Jason. So there have been a lot of bounties done. I'm still reviewing it, but it has been an tremendous to see people jumping on all the bounties. I think there's only one not being done yet, or at least Papa already gave the answer there for the default parameters, but the other ones are done, and I can currently have a hard time just keeping up with posting bounties and bounties. So that's really nice to see that the community is really invested. I think that were all the updates in the latest release. So the next release will really be a little bit more breaking. We have completed the rebase on the main branch, and so the next release will include some fixes, a rebase, a way for gateways to use dollar based pricing to filter by capability. Also, we are releasing currently a text-to-speech pipeline, and the LoRa's that Marco has implemented, we also want them in there in the next release.
That sounds like a very packed release. There's going to be a lot of stuff there to play with. But I'm very also excited to hear that it's moving into the main branch. You said.
Yeah, so we are not yet ready. Of course, we cannot merge it in the main branch yet. The reason being because we want to be a little bit more careful because, of course, there's a lot of production stuff running there. The main goal of this rebase was to make sure that we are in line with the main branch, so that we could, in theory, merge. There are 3 things in the software that are hard-coded. For example, the AI service registry there. Some of the CI is hard-coded for the AI branch, but apart from those 3 things, it's now in sync with the main branch.
So if it does end up merging down the road, it'll be much easier to do because I guess we're on 7.6 now, and the AI one's built on, I think, 7.2, right? Currently.
Yeah, exactly. So it's up to speed now, so it makes it easier, and also it allows us to already do some testing to see if it's possible to merge there. And from now on, we try to keep it in sync because solving so many conflicts takes a long time.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, concurrent development across multiple branches with, overlapping features is definitely a software nightmare. And if the team isn't prepared and ready for it, it could be a major, major problem. So I'm glad to see you guys have worked through that. That was a concern of mine watching it from afar. So I'm glad to see folks have actually focused on it and made that a priority. So good job, AISPE.
Yeah, it was a fun day. I discussed it with Brad, the conflicts, and but we managed to solve it. So I'm happy with that. And I think now we can really go forward.
Any impacts on selection algorithm? We know that the transcoding selection is different than AI selection, or is that just all part and parcel to the whole merge process?
So there were not many conflicts because the main things that changed between when Jonna and I started building on the main branch is really some small fixtures, but also the way for gateways to filter based on the first version and the US dollar pegging. So, and those are mainly situated in the starter file, in the capabilities files, some tests. Apart from that, there are not really changes to the selection algorithm currently. Only that the RPC message that's sent over is changed a little bit, so it's breaking. But what will happen is that orchestrator will get sent a job, but before it can be processed, it already returns, and then another orchestrator that is up to date will be selected. But I'm currently working on also getting the version constraint into the AI software so that gateways even not select orchestrators that are not on the right version. So this will the next releases will be a little bit breaking, but after that we will have a stable version again.
Well, AI operators, be ready for the change and make sure you upgrade in a timely fashion if as this release comes out. Do you have any timeline for that? Is that imminent, or is there still some work to do prior to the next upcoming release?
Yeah, for the rebase, there's not much work to do. I think I need around 1 or 2 hours to really test it out another time. Then it will go through testing with Brad and John, probably, and Peter. But apart from that, the rebasing is done. But we still haven't decided if we are going to include the AI remote worker also in there. I think it's a good thing to do, because that one will also be breaking, because we optimize the message a little bit that is sent so that it's quicker. It's now base 64, but these things still have to be discussed. But you can expect an update with this release at least in the next 2 weeks.
Awesome. I know pool operators are chomping at the bit to get the remote worker stuff, so I'll be curious to see where that finally lands.
Yeah, we are still reviewing. So the work that Brad did has already been reviewed. I'm doing a last review as well, but Nico's team also has done great job work on it. So they also built their own implementation. So currently, what we're trying to do is look at their implementation, discuss with them, and see if there are some things from both sides that can improve the whole situation there. And and thank you as well, Mike, for being a critical partner in the discussion when building this thing. And I think the pools can, if we have this released, then it's up to the pools to integrate it. But I don't think the software will change a lot. That's already in the pull request.
Well, thanks for calling out that shout out. I don't think I deserve that much. I think we were active early on, but I think the team, Brad and Livepool team has done a good job really, rallying together behind it and moving it forward. So I've kind of been off to the side now, but I'm definitely going to be jumping back into that once you guys iron out the differences and get it released. So good work, everyone. That's what community effort's all about right there. All right. I think we talked about that stuff. Titan, are you back now?
Yeah, just returned. Thank you so much. Sorry about
that. No worries.
Cool. Okay, last topic was Authority Null's topic around the error with Gateway. Authority, tell us what you're seeing.
Sure. So Mike mentioned maybe bringing this up in the water cooler. I think Rick was aware of this earlier on, but I'll just reiterate it. I was just looking at my gateway log and I saw this sort of weird error. It said orchestrator prices changed. And I spoke to Mike because it was his orchestrator that my gateway had hit. I was trying to do some image to image testing. He said, nothing on his end has changed. Nothing on my end is like dynamic that would do that. So I'm just not sure if maybe this is the reason why my gateway isn't paying out currently, or if this is something the team is aware of, some sort of discrepancy in pricing.
Rick, do you recall that conversation I had? I sent you some of the log data. I mean, I think the AI or the Livepeer cloud metrics were showing quite a few failures due to, quote, price changing. And I know a lot of folks set their prices and they just let it go. So for the gateways to throw errors that prices change seemed very odd. And I'm not sure why it happens. So I don't know if that's something you guys are aware of, you're fixing. If you can just, elaborate a little bit.
Yeah, my microphone was off apparently. Thank you so much. Yeah, we have seen that error before. You sent it first to us, and then we saw it from Ben as well. So we haven't investigated yet. Apart that Brad did he did look into it a little bit, and I think Our first hypothesis there was that it's related to spikes in gas, but I don't know if that's still the hypothesis there. I haven't looked into it myself yet.
I mean, that's probably a good hypothesis, the gas spikes. We've definitely seen a lot of odd behavior with gas spikes, and gas has been really unstable in the latest Arbitrum update. So hopefully that is related. But in either way, I think we definitely know that this is in there creating problems, and it could result in failed jobs. So I think if we can, I don't know if that even, if the USD pricing stuff that you guys rebase, is that going to solve this, or is that going to make it worse, or maybe it is unrelated?
That's a good question.
I missed some of this, but this comes from, Titan, you'll remember this, when they set a sticky price right at the front of a session. That's what this is from. And in transcoding, the sessions get built and torn down for each stream. And AI, they're reused indefinitely until you restart. So what can happen right now is, if you don't have the auto adjust price set to false, when gas changes and it adjusts your price automatically, that you'll be kicked out of that one selection, but you can get back in. It's not a kick out forever. And with USD pricing, to stay on topic a little bit, that might make it worse. We'll have to kind of look at that as that, because with transcoding, they don't have to worry about the long-lived nature of a selector, since it gets built and torn down with each stream. So it'll just set the pricing at the front, and that's the pricing for the whole stream. Rick, I don't know that that's going to be an easy thing to rip out or take out or turn off.
Can we just change the auto price adjust to default to false? Like, does anyone actually want that to be on?
I don't think it is on.
To be on. Well, it's I think it's default to true.
Yeah,
check.
It's default to true. If you don't turn it off, it constantly is adjusting your price every time Gwei changes by even just the smallest amount. So you're like price fluctuate. Although I think it already does that if you use fluctuating pegged USD price, so maybe it might not matter. But yeah, I don't know. Auto price adjust kind of made sense for mainnet when ETH was hitting 100 or 200 Gwei. Even then, it still didn't quite make sense to me, because it meant that the broadcaster was responsible for paying your ticket redemption fee, which, why? It seems like an expense on the orchestrator side, shouldn't be pushed on to the broadcaster. But it really messed up the whole ceiling of the price, because then people were getting bumped over 1200 Gwei, and then, or Gwei per pixel, and then the whole network was failing. Yeah. And I just think that is actually, the auto price adjust thing is pegged to the gas price, and gas price is just a public network thing. So by default, we're just exposing ourselves to this random spike that takes down the whole Livepeer network. So I think it should be set default to false.
Is this only set on the orchestrator or on the gateways as well?
I don't think I've ever tried it on gateway, but it's mostly orchestrator side, since the orchestrator determines the price.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for setting it to false as the.
And I confirmed it is set to true in there as a default.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything that does anyone have any reason that they wouldn't want that to be set to false by default? I mean, I happen to just have that in what I copy every time I'm making it or setting up an orchestrator, is to have it set to false. But I'm just wondering if anyone has a reason to or that they think that setting it to false would be a bad idea by default.
The reason for, I think, setting it to true by default is if you forget to set it, there's a network error, gas spikes to 1,000, and you happen to redeem a $3 ticket that costs you $200 in gas. And the orchestrator's got to take that on the chin.
But we have limits, right? That you can, your gas limits.
Yes.
Like max gas, does that
there are
take care of that?
max. Yes, max gas limit would prevent that.
Yeah, so it might be better to set like the max gas price that you're willing to pay, because I think that would just fail the redemption transaction. It wouldn't adjust your price because gas spikes go up, they go down, and it goes back to normal. Usually within that 2-day period, because you have 2 days or 2 rounds to redeem a ticket.
Yeah, I would say that the proper way of handling this is switching to save orchestrators, to prevent them from having to accidentally pay astronomical gas, is to convert the auto price adjust to false, and then add a default max gas price for redeeming tickets. And then what you're left with is you aren't going to refuse work because you are willing to accept any price, or you basically you will continue to receive work, so the Livepeer network will continue to work off chain. It's just redeeming your ticket, you might have to wait a few hours for your node to redeem it at a lower gas price, which is totally reasonable, right?
Right, you're not going to take a loss cashing in a ticket, which obviously would make sense.
Yeah, like you get your ticket sitting there for what is it, 2 rounds? You get the current round and the next round to redeem it. So you have up to 24 hours to make sure you redeem your ticket. That's a fine, that's not a bad problem as an orchestrator to have to go run around redeeming tickets at a later date when the whole network is spiking out of control. Like, that's okay, fair enough. Like, you gotta keep on, but we haven't ruined stream, like we haven't rejected work.
I would much rather even lose out on redeeming a ticket and keep the network up and running, for especially with ticket prices where they are now.
Yeah. So to protect orchestrators from accidentally redeeming a 1,000 GUI ticket, let's default it to max 100 GUI price for redeeming it, gas price, and then remove the auto price adjust.
So let me this is one part where I get confused, because sometimes when the gas is spiking and someone wins a ticket, it'll be worth more. Does anyone really understand how that how that works?
You mean with the flag enabled, the auto adjust?
Sorry, say that one more time.
You mean with the flag enabled, so the auto adjust? I forgot the naming.
Oh, well, because I mean, I've had it off and gotten a ticket. The auto adjust is off, and I mean, I've hit a ticket where instead of I don't know, let's just say $4 is the average price. I mean, it could be a 6 or a 14 or even a $20 US ticket, just because the gas is spiking. I mean, I've certainly seen other people get tickets worth that, and it's always during a gas spike. And I think that is, I think the gateway considers what I don't know. I just don't know what's happening behind the scenes there, but I know the gateway, that's part of the thing, is the gateway has to factor in the gas price and make sure that the ticket it sends isn't going to cost more to cash than what it's sending. I think there's some logic in there that does that. I don't know where it is, but
I sent it in the chat if you want to see it, but it's in the orchestrator side. So it's the orchestrator that negotiates the tickets. So basically, what it does, so that's what I think. That's with the auto adjust price. But apart from that, it's just I think it's just the gas going higher, right? That you're paying for, or not? I don't know.
Yeah, it's in that face value calculation. They're not. I mean, it's the same, like the same parts of the code, but they're not tied together like that. I know it's not very
As I haven't checked it since like we've moved to L2 because I've looked sometimes to see like what the gas actually is on a cash ticket like that, and it's usually just fractionally higher, like the in dollar amount than a normal ticket redemption. So I'm wondering if it's actually working as it's supposed to.
I don't think it's been checked since we moved to L2, and then
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why that would
Nitro
why that would break
upgrade
it, but yeah,
changed things substantially as well.
Just another thing on the million things on the list of things to maybe check into at some point. If I wasn't on the road and barely able to type here, I would open up something just to make a note about it. But I can make a note to I'll be back tomorrow and I can throw something up just as a reminder. An issue. And try and also look into it a little bit more and see what I see, and so I have a better something better, but it's a little more concrete to give as an example.
Didn't the Nitro upgrade, didn't it change how it calculates gas and everything? Because before it was tied to some formula off of L1. Maybe now it's not, or vice versa.
Yeah, I don't know, but certainly possible.
There was definitely a change related to Nitro, but I don't know if it was, I can't recall off the top of my head what it was.
I see average gas price at 3 Gwei, and I don't think it's anywhere near that anymore.
0.01 or something like that.
Yeah. Or I think you could do 3 times the average and still be much lower than 3 Gwei.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when I see gas spikes, I usually see them go like, they don't go up that high most of the time.
Oh, I've seen some off the charts gas spikes. I mean, we saw like it might be 5 times the gas, but sometimes we've seen 1,000x the gas spikes, but they're not usually long lived in those cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should create an issue about this on GitHub.
It's good, yeah.
A question about the auto price adjust is so back to authorities error. Was that caused because of this issue, or are we just guessing?
Well, I went back and looked at my orchestrator config, and it did not have that flag set. So I'm trying to correlate if there was an actual gas spike at the time, which I'm doing some research right now to see if it was. But it looks like the fact that I didn't have it set could have been the main reason, but it's not definitive yet.
I think any gas price change will cause that or can cause that. I don't know if there's a threshold or that like a minimal threshold that it doesn't, I can't remember, that it doesn't change. But after Nitro, we've been pretty spoiled, right? It stayed at 0.1 basically 90% plus of the time. So we just don't see it much.
Yeah, and I think our gateway hasn't had this error. So I will check if which flags are enabled.
I don't think there's a flag for like sticky prices. I think that was just a take it or leave it. That's just how it is. Kind of update.
So the current AI orchestrator node.
You're right.
Is it doing USD pegging, or are we all still just static Gwei pricing within the config file?
It will do USD pegging after we release the next version, but until now it's just static pricing.
Yeah, the current AI stack Titan runs the 0.72 branch of Go Livepeer, which was one release prior to the USD pegging. So it's fixed price per pixel right now.
So will that USD pegging then create this error we're seeing because of how the sessions are built?
That was my question.
Possible. It's possible. We'll know soon before it's released.
Buckle up.
Well, maybe the auto price adjust true brought awareness to the fault of USD pegging and the session creation of the AI workflow. The AI, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it cause problems, but I don't think we have a spike yet, right?
I mean, I don't think Arbitrum is spiking, anything like that. We've been very spoiled. For those of you that remember the good old layer 1 days, I mean, those were painful times. Now we just don't even think about it.
No, so if you, I actually put the gas monitor back on my dashboard because it in fact spikes very frequently now. If you take a look at gas over the last month or so, then you will see lots of spikes, lots of changes in gas prices. So that might be something to put back on your dashboard, but it does happen. And more frequently now than I have seen since it went to Nitro, but it's very often. And I think it happened after the Dan Kuhn update when they did the blob spaces on L1. Now we've seen a lot more gas spikes as a result of the latest Arbitrum. I run an Arbitrum RPC node, so I get to see all this crazy stuff, but it absolutely spikes often.
Oh, here it is. I was where I was literally looking for gas price on our Arbiscan, and I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it was hard to find.
I was like,
But
because
I found it.
Etherscan, it's like right on the top bar. I don't know why they removed it.
No, I had to go to Google to find it. I don't know.
Just look at the last 6 months on that chart, and you'll see, man, it's crazy how often it spikes.
But not too bad, right? It's the highest one is only, oh, it's 6. Whoa.
175 Gwei. That's pretty high. But
Oh,
just
yeah,
look
you're
at
right.
6 months, and you'll see from like April when the Dan Kuhn update came out, you'll see like it's very frequent. Whereas prior 6 months, there were like virtually none.
But do we have more usage as well on Arbitrum?
Yes, that's also the case. Arbitrum usage has gone up significantly in the last few months, which is also very impactful.
Well, I'm confused. How does this work? Because like it's saying that like, max gas price is 5,000 Gwei, but like I never send transactions that high. Like, are we? Are people?
No, you need. I think that's the ultimate max. So it can be an outlier. So you have to look at like they don't have like the error boundaries there. So we should look for another graph.
Because I mean,
do you have a max gas price set? This is reminding me of something.
Do I?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think I got rid of it.
I'm trying to, if I remember right, there was something when we switched to Arbitrum, like the max gas price. I wonder if it's bugged out on Arbitrum, where like it submits that as the gas price you're willing to pay, but it's not the gas price you'll pay, but you'll pay up to that. I know it's not very clear, but it does something like that. Like you'll see the transaction, you'll see that you submitted that you pay that much on every single transaction until you remove that flag.
Oh, you mean it'll pay that gas price regardless?
Yeah, it's been a long time since I thought about this.
I mean, I got rid of that flag. I got rid of the gas price flag and just changed. I have auto price adjust false for every single,
yeah,
every single node. So I got rid of. Yeah. So the question is like, what? My only concern is that we don't want a decentralized network of complete out of control, like some sort of metric that, or some sort of spike in usage or glitch or event that can directly reduce the reliability or process, like the uptime of the Livepeer off-chain service, right? So to me, whether you set your max gas price to infinity or 10, that's only the orchestrator's cost of redeeming the ticket, like whoop-de-doo. That doesn't affect the gateway nodes at all. But what does affect the gateway nodes is the auto price adjust default to true, because that will, for some reason, some sort of spike will knock off, like it's immediate. Like you instantly stop, your price goes way up, and you instantly reject work. So all AI work, all transcoding work, you just start rejecting.
Well, Titan, if you look at the chart that Sundara posts, there's a spike where it went to 20 on like the June 21st. That actually took the Livepeer cloud gateway down. We were unable to submit any AI jobs at all on that time period. And it was because the reserve that is needed by the gateway uses gas as a calculation, and we didn't have enough reserve in our wallet to cover that gas spike. So we were unable to submit jobs. So there's definitely, gas spikes do affect the gateway operators as well. So just something to consider.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. And Mike, you also had like our base capacity connected right then, or not? Because they don't charge anything, but they still, I think the check still rejects them.
Yeah, I did not have it at that time where you had these extra orcs that you added to the network, but and I don't know if that would have impacted it or not, but it was definitely, the gateway had it was unable to submit tickets because the amount of reserve needed was too low to cover it.
Yeah, I think it will still fail because that check happens before them. So we should really, I will write this down.
But I think Titan's spot on though. The gas, the variability in gas shouldn't take down the Livepeer network. Shouldn't even impact it, but it seems to have an impact. Obviously, if our reserve was higher, we could increase the reserve, but that just means we're going to end up paying significantly more for a job that normally wouldn't cost that much.
But even then, you can only increase your reserve so much. Like technically, if there's a glitch, the gas can spike to infinity. So
yeah, no, I agree. I don't like the variability based on gas price. It seems kind of dated in today's terms. I'm not sure why it plays a role, but it absolutely does have an impact.
No, I think I agree. I would rather not be paid then.
So in that case, what, from the orchestrator side, how does it work when the reserve is too low? Like, is that the orchestrator rejecting that work, or is it the gateway failing to even send the request?
It's the orchestrator saying the gateway doesn't have enough of a reserve. The orchestrator really drives the tickets. The gateway just takes the ticket parameters sent by the orchestrator and adds a nonce to it, and then signs it all and sends it all back.
Yep.
So could we add a flag that's like, hey, I'm indifferent to, my reserve requirements are just a lot less, or my reserve requirements are a fixed amount rather than a, some sort of calculation. You could just say, hey, listen, I want a reserve amount, yeah, I don't know, or reject.
I have that built out, at least a proof of concept of it, because I used it when I was testing a long time ago.
Does some of this stem from the fact that if you receive a ticket that only tries to cache it one time unless you manually go in afterwards and try and push the ticket through? Like, what if you receive the ticket and then it just continues to try it until like it gets to your, to a normal gas price? Would that solve this?
I think it will keep trying.
Or does it continue to keep
It's
trying?
not related to redeeming a ticket. It's literally
Okay.
when the gateway is actually sending a job to the orchestrator sends back its tickets and says, hey, this is what I'm charging, this is what it's going to cost you. And then the gateway has to sign it and send it down. But if the reserves don't match, it can't even do that. So it's
Right,
like
but if
uncashed tickets. It's before they even
but if
win.
the orc had a set price of like the gas being at what we consider to be like the stable price of 0.01, that the ticket would come through, and then if you go to cash it but it's higher, it's like, okay, I'll just keep trying it every 5 minutes until it goes back down.
Just kind
So
of keep the static gas price all the time, and then if it spikes, you just won't redeem. But at the time of redemption, it'll keep trying for a period of time before it actually, hopefully, gas comes down at that point. That makes sense.
I mean,
I'm not sure how hard that would be, but
I don't know how much would be involved in doing that, because I guess there would have to be some kind of logic that says like, well, I guess I mean, if there's a certain amount, I guess if there's a certain amount of gas you're willing to spend to cash the ticket, and you don't put that into your, it's going to not put, sorry, and it's going to have less than what it's at. That ticket's not going to go through. So I mean, I guess if there's a way to measure that the ticket is still there, or see that the ticket is still there, you can just continually try and send it every some interval.
If you,
because I mean, chances are over two rounds, it's going to come back down into the normal range.
I wonder if we can have the reserve requirement check to use the average gas price too. I don't know that it does that right now. I'll have to go check.
Just on that point, Papa Bear, if you do win a ticket and you have a ticket that's sitting ready to be redeemed, it will attempt to redeem that one too. So as long as you, like, there's one way of looking at it, is as long as you redeem a ticket every round, you will always redeem, not always, but you should redeem any missing tickets that you don't get due to a spike. But yeah,
right. But at least it won't. If it's a fixed amount, it won't stop the gateway from sending it. If if the orc is saying no, I only I need 100 times the gas price to to take this work on.
Yeah, no.
If the orc,
we've got to separate the acceptance of work to the price of
right.
gas. Like, absolutely. I don't know why that variable is set to true by default. Or that flag is set to true by default. I think that's a bad flag.
How do you guys want to approach this? Make an issue, discuss it with the transcoding side core contributors.
Just slip a pull request in there for change true to false.
Well, at least create an issue, I guess. So.
Well, the flag is one part, but I think we're talking about pegging the acceptance of work to gas, period. Like, I think we're saying is, why do that, right? Like, we don't want to limit work coming through the network because there's a gas spike going on, regardless of that flag.
Exactly.
Of course. So who wants to take that on? Brad?
Yeah, if it's in the AI stuff, we can create a bounty, and otherwise I can ask the ecosystem team to create a bounty if it's the transcoding side, maybe.
I think,
and otherwise we can
both sides. I think it affects both sides, so we probably need to at least discuss it with the ecosystem team.
Yeah, I will discuss it with them, and otherwise, I think it will really affect the AI subnet as well. So it could be also something that we, as the core team, have to do.
Ben, you really got a topic going here.
Yeah, Ben, way to go.
Yeah, that was awesome. I appreciate all the context and more work for Brad. You're
I really think this is on the
Or,
transcoding side, though. I think this is something we merge into ours, our side.
Yeah.
yeah, let's try to get it that way. I will write a report tomorrow.
I do have sort of like a sideway question. I'm looking at livepeer.tools and at all the different gateways, and I see like the deposit and reserve requirements. Everyone has something like completely different set. Is there like some sort of benchmark to go along with for what deposit and reserve is supposed to be? Like some people have way more of a deposit than a reserve. Some people have the opposite. Some people have exactly the same.
Well, hold on. Let me just clarify that there's a defect in that Livepeer Tools report that is not 100% accurate. People are, there was some complexity around the event data that comes in. So the reserve is always increasing on Livepeer Tools. It never decreases. So you could take that with a grain of salt. I probably should put a disclaimer up there about that not working properly. So it's not an exact number, but you're right though. What the reserve amount should be is definitely very different from each gateway. And even though Livepeer Tools doesn't show it, it's still, the facts are there that everyone goes in with a different amount. And again, I don't think it's ever been clear what a good amount should be for that.
Is there at least some sort of guidelines as to what does what?
Yeah, I used the calculations that Brett gave me about 100 times.
I was gonna say, yeah, your ticket will come out to be about 100 times. Or sorry, you need reserve to be about 100 times what you want your ticket value to be. Although, actually, I don't even know if that works anymore.
Yeah, it works, but there's like this caveat. I think it also uses some other things, but mostly it works.
I did write something up about this at one point, but I don't think it's accurate anymore for when we were doing the last proposal with
Livepeer Cloud SPE, when we documented the steps to create a gateway, we documented the reserve and deposit requirements that you needed to get started. But since the Dane Kuhn update, it's been different, and gas has been changing frequently. So we probably need to revisit what those values represent.
I gotta be honest.
There's a part of this
not easy to find. Sorry, go ahead, Brad.
If you want no downtime, you need a large reserve. If you're just testing and sending stuff through every now and then, you're not worried about a little bit of downtime from gas spikes, then you need a lot less.
So fund reserve before funding deposit? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, because the tickets come out of the deposit. The reserve is what determines your ticket value. It'll divide it by 100.
Okay, so you really need both topped up at all times then if you're like trying to push through some decent traffic.
The deposit is where you need to keep funding, but the reserve, you got to make sure that that's high enough at the highest gas spike so that you can continue to operate. So I don't know exactly what the right number is, but you probably want to look at those gas charts on Arbitrum and start to look at, that times your reserve divided by 100, I think should be a good enough number.
I mean, that used to result in, like, if your reserve was, I think it was like 0.12, might be off by 0, but it used to be like, when tickets were like, I think tickets used to pay out like, what? Oh my God, sorry. Can't see, like, what is the average ETH price of a ticket right now? Does anyone have that handy? I'm just having a hard time dealing with this
like
tablet
370, something like that.
Well, that's a dollar amount. What's the ETH amount? Is it 0.012?
Yes.
Okay, so then that I guess is still true. I think if you use 0.12, then you should get a payout of 0.012.
2 zeros.
Sorry, so 2 zeros is that would be the right math. Then so it's 0.12 as a reserve, should pay out a 0.0012 ticket.
I have
dividing by 100.
What is the reason for separating the reserve and the deposit? Because whenever I go to when I went to start up a broadcaster maybe a year ago, I was like, I'm like, I run orchestrators. I've been in this for 2 years. I still like they're such similar words, like reserve and deposit, like kind of mean the same thing. Like it's not obvious what they are or how it works. It's really confusing that you have to fund both from a gateway perspective. Like I really don't understand why it's not just one thing called deposit, and then you just have a minimum deposit, right? Because the like the math, could you not just set it like, well, all tickets can just drain your deposit, like your reserve is just, it can drain your deposit, and if your deposit runs too low that you can't pay out all 100 orchestrators one ticket, then it just says, hey, your deposit's too low, please top it up. Like I don't know why it's even separated.
And also, you can't get it out once you go to the client and deposit into the deposit and reserve, right? Like there's no takebacks.
Yeah, you can take it
Yeah,
all
yeah,
out.
you can.
You can?
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know
yeah.
that. I thought once it's in there, and you're
Oh no,
done.
no. If you go into the CLI, you can see like on the gateway. If you go into the CLI, you'll have a different. It's got different commands in there, and the ones like I forget exactly what they say, but withdraw, like withdraw.
You have to
deposit and
unlock
withdraw.
it. You have to unlock it. It takes 2 rounds to unlock. Once it's unlocked, then you can come back and withdraw. But what you can't do is you withdraw your deposit and your reserve. When you put money in, you can put money on a deposit and you can put money on the reserve, and you can do them separately. But on the withdrawal, it takes all of it out.
It's highly confusing.
I could see for like,
I agree.
I
for
don't
like a newbie gateway, that's a lot to learn.
I don't even know why they're two different things. I feel like it can be just one thing, a deposit. Like that's literally, you deposit funds. And if the CLI was just like, hey, listen, like there is a minimum deposit, you'd be like, okay, makes sense. And then, when you send out tickets, it's like, well, your deposit's high enough to pay out all 100 orchestrators. Whoop-de-doo.
Well, you know what? I mean, maybe it's partially this, because if you have a lower deposit or lower reserve, you can pay out smaller tickets. If you don't want to be able, if you don't, if you want to put a smaller amount, just have that tied up in your reserve and deposit. Like if you just want to pay out like tickets that are $1 face value, then you can get away with doing less than like 0.12. You can do like 0.04 or something like that. So it gives you some control of like how much you're going to pay out, per ticket. I don't know if that's the reason they
just
originally
seems
did it.
like another layer of.
It is a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. I mean,
it
it drove me crazy trying to even research it. I was asking Brad. I was asking everyone. I didn't find it documented anywhere. We did a lot of trial and error kind of stuff. It's very I mean, someone probably understands it, but I don't know who it was or who it is. And I mean, I was trying to ask everyone I could think of. So
like I tried.
The fact that all of us who are very involved in Livepeer can answer this very easily, it means it's very complicated.
Because even when I went to go start up my AI gateway node, I was like, again, I was having like terrifying flashbacks of a year ago of like, what does this mean? I don't even know. I put in 0.2 in my reserve, but I was like, I wish I could, if I'm way over on my reserve, like if I only need 0.012, for instance, like boy, I would love to put that into my deposit because I can actually spend that, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's my concern with it too. Is I'd rather not keep it tied up in a reserve. I'd rather just spend it instead of having it tied up. But
a reserve should be able to just like in the CLI, you should just be able to like say like, hey, you're going to use this amount as your reserve just in one command, which is your deposit, and you just have what's called a minimum deposit. I think just like from a user experience, naming the two so similarly without any clear explanation of what they are is just really tough. Because to me, I almost think of deposit as something like when you go lease, like rent a home or something, you give a deposit. And the deposit is something that you get back after. It's a what if. And so your reserve would be like maybe what you would pay, right? So the wording,
I never thought of it that way, but it's interesting.
To me,
yeah.
like deposit is what I'm expecting to get back. It's a deposit, and maybe I'll get that back if I don't screw up. So like the wording is literally backwards in my mind. But it's the other way around. Your reserve is what you keep, and then your deposit is what you spend.
Right. We do call it rent and rent and deposit or something like that.
Like
Yeah.
or like holding account, spending account. I don't know. That would even be more like, oh, a holding account. Got it. That's gonna hold it. A spending account. Got it. I'm gonna spend it. Like reserve and deposit mean the same damn thing, and if not, they're backwards.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if this ever gets rehauled, I mean, what are you guys' feelings about having to actually have enough on, I guess, reserved to actually pay all 100 orchestrators at the same time? I mean, does anyone ever seen anything even close to that happen?
I don't even know how that would even happen. How would you have to pay all 100 orcs at once?
On the off chance that 100 orcs all hit.
I think it's
I don't know.
It's a Sybil attack, isn't it?
But if you send a stream out, like a transcoding stream, it's not going to all 100. So like, why would you have to pay them all?
No, but I think that's the attack.
But you could have 100 streams going, and if they all hit at the same time.
Oh, I see.
Very unlikely scenario, but yeah, I mean, I get why it was there, but I mean, it seems like, I mean,
I feel like this is a scaling thing they thought of, like when there's going to be, 1 million streams, or like maybe some sort of Sybil attack where you send, one segment to 100 separate orcs at the same time. And what you get back is 100 segments transcoded where you basically, you get, if you had to pay all 100 at the same time, you'd essentially get free transcoding. Which so.
But again, what's the I mean, what are the real chances of you have that actually happening? That 100 orcs all hit at the same exact time before that your broadcaster would shut off because it doesn't have enough to pay out the next orc. I mean, maybe it's not a big a deal, but it sounds like the likelihood of it is so small.
And all you're giving up is like one segment, because the next or a couple segments, because the next couple segments you're going to go, oh, I've just transcoded 3 segments for free, and now your deposit's gone. I'll stop now. Right? Like all you're giving up is 6 seconds of transcoding, right? Like it's like,
yeah, I think some of the stuff's kind of legacy built in from different times, when things work differently. Because remember,
when it costs
we used to send out a ton. We used to send out. Well, we also used to send out a lot of segments. Before, like on that first segment you would send out, like it would be good for a couple 100 segments before the next payment came out. Now with an update that came out, I forgot when, but like now we send out multiple tickets per segment that are have a lower value. So the chance of like I'm doing a horrible job of explaining this, but I mean, Brad, you maybe you can remember, Brad, when the ticket thing changed and it was started sending out multiple tickets per segment instead of multiple segments per ticket. So because before we were like broadcast gateways were getting killed because you could hit a ticket on and do one segment, and then maybe the stream would even fail and you're still getting paid for all the work.
Yeah, because you would get even so, like back in L1 days, 0.18 ETH tickets, it's like 18 Ethereum to have on reserve to even run a broadcaster on L1.
Yeah,
down to now where you can do 0.1. It might not be up all the time, but it's gonna be a majority of the time as a reserve 0.1 ETH. And then the studio team was looking at especially those streams that are bad and they just bounce around. You send a ticket every time you get your first segment from that session. And so they were just paying and paying and paying. And even now, sometimes depending on the profiles, a ticket will cover 1 or 2 segments. So
Right,
it
so
was
it's not nearly as bad,
it was a
yeah.
quality of life thing for gateways.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were paying for work that wasn't getting done because you're paying up front. You're paying for a lot of work up front.
Yeah,
So,
and that with how transcoding works and the session selectors are torn down after that stream, that overpayment is not tracked. Once the stream is over and the session's gone,
yeah, you're done. You got your money on your run.
You paid. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We're really getting into the weeds on this one here. I can't believe where this went.
Yeah, this has been a deep one. Authority, I think Authority has taken the win on this topic. This has been a one-line error code turned into 1 hour deep dive into
question of the year.
Right.
Mike, what did you guys update the cloud gateway deposit reserve, or maybe just the reserve?
That's a good question. Let me go take a look. Hang on.
Because like for my tester, 0.1 works. I don't care about downtime, and I don't see it hardly ever. But to answer Ben, to answer your question directly, you pick something, 0.1, 0.2. If you see downtime, you got to increase it. If you don't want any downtime.
When you say downtime, what do you mean? Like,
it means when gas spikes too high, the orchestrators will send back error insufficient reserve for that very short amount of time during the gas spike. When the gas goes back down, you'll be able to send jobs again to your gateway.
Okay. Okay. Because our app is doing a failover between my gateway and then cloud. I just want to make sure I at least have enough to.
Yeah, because basically,
be alive.
if gas spikes too high, cloud goes down too.
Yeah, I guess if it spikes high enough, it doesn't really matter. Everything's going
we're
down.
at 0.12 reserve.
Yeah, Livepeer tools definitely doesn't show that. You're almost at an
Livepeer, yeah, that part it doesn't. It just keeps adding.
1200
was there
1200 ETH.
Right. Yeah. Mike's got to dig deeper into the on-chain data for that. And I know how fun that is.
It wasn't that. It was just that there were so many events that affect it that I just gave up trying to stitch the tangled web together. So I just gave up trying. But I probably should remove that or put some sort of warning that it's not accurate.
It's pretty misleading. It definitely can be. Good intentions on that one, but yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to at least show that there were more broadcasters, and I think it does show that. But the reserve amount in the deposit, I'm probably going to take that off now that we've mentioned the confusion around it.
Yeah, you can still list that those are gateways, but maybe just remove the reserve and deposit amount. I don't know. It's your site. I'll let you do it too.
Well, I don't want people to be confused. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was definitely looking at it as a reference. Now I know I got to check my CLI and see what I'm actually at.
All right. Great. Is that the end of that topic? To cover that?
I think we can go a couple more hours on this one.
Put a fork in it, man. We're done.
Yeah, we put a okay. So, who wants to take on the task of? I feel like we hit something here in the reliability of Livepeer protocol. What are the actionable items that we can do, and who wants to own that as a follow up?
I think Rick agreed that he's going to take back the two parts of it. The one was the auto adjust flag, right? That was the first part. And then I think the second part was well, actually, I don't think he agreed to do anything with the reserve. So someone needs to either submit a ticket but I think he also mentioned he was going to talk to the core team about removing the pegging to gas, that jobs should still work regardless of what gas spikes come in. So maybe that in itself solves the problem, but the reserve definitely, I don't think anyone volunteered to change any of that. I don't even know if we have an explanation that warrants a change.
I don't think I can write that up if you gave me any amount. I don't think I have a clear enough picture other than knowing that it's broken.
Hey,
There's a lot of open possibilities here.
I'm just writing this just in chat here and tagging him. So I was gonna write, so number 1, switch auto price adjust default to false. And then 2, remove the need for, or remove the dependency of tickets or work acceptance to be based on gas. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Dependency of work acceptance to be tied to gas, correlated to gas.
Yeah.
I think either one's fine.
To gas price. There we go. This way, because I feel like this is a.
Well, don't forget number 3, right? And that's the clarification / simplification of deposit / reserve, right?
I mean, that's more of like a UX UI kind of, or UX kind of experience. I don't think that's actually like a major when it comes to network outage.
Absolutely, I agree.
So I think,
but it definitely it impedes the ability to get more gateways online, which is what we really want.
Yeah,
we ended up going with like, here's the minimum. I think is how we ended up writing it for it. Like these numbers will get you going, but you're kind of on your own from that point on. When I wrote up how to set up a gateway.
So maybe
I think changing the reserve might take a LIP, because that was all set up with the stream flow, right?
Is that not its own smart contract as well?
I think you're right, Brad.
It is, there's parts of the, like, it reads the reserve from, the RPC. So I think changing that would be a much more involved process. But like changing the off-chain things using average gas prices, I don't think take an LIP. Not sure though.
I wonder if just a naming convention would fix this, like just going from reserve to deposit to just like, holding account and spending account. I don't know, like, and then
I think that's part of it, but I don't think that's going to solve what the network from going down when gas is spiking.
Yeah, I think that's just a user experience issue that can be addressed. I think critically, those 2 items are going to be more important. So I don't want to clog up. I don't want to confuse him with the importance of some things over others. I'll just keep it at that. Because I do think those are critical things. The network going down because of gas spikes is like really bad. If we are onboarding gateways and they like legitimately are asked, because the problem is when it comes to the old school broadcaster, like we've onboarded so few broadcasters that it's almost never even a question, because I don't think they even get that far. So
but I mean, this even happens, like with, at times with, I mean, I think it still even happens occasionally, but it definitely used to happen quite a bit, even with when Livepeer was the only gateway / broadcaster, when gas would get too high.
Could this just be fixed through education? Maybe when you go to deposit through the CLI, it just explains what the reserve and deposit is in, you know, printing a line like, hey, so the reserve, you know, is a holding account that, you know, it stays at this price, no money is spent out of it. You know, a way to calculate how much reserve you need is, you know, maybe this formula or some sort of an amount we can put in there. And then when it goes to the deposit, like, this is the spending account, this is the money that is going to come out. Like, if you literally just put those instructions into the CLI, I think you might solve a lot of issues.
Just for
They're
some
two separate. I
context,
think they're two separate issues. To me, they are.
Titan,
'Cause
just for
that's not
some.
gonna. Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, go ahead, Papa Bear. Sorry.
Which
No, I was
two
just gonna
separate
say,
issues?
if you, I mean, just making that clear isn't going to stop or isn't going to fix the issue of if there's a big gas spike that it can stop the entire network from working because gas is like making it where
Yes.
the gas prices.
Yeah, there's two
stopping,
very
yeah.
different issues. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure that I thought you were saying it was the same issue, and I was
No.
like, I think we're okay. Okay, got you then.
No, we're on the same page. No.
Okay.
This
Cool,
is
cool.
what I mean. Like, what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
let's make the big issue the big issue, and let's make the small issue the small issue. So, like, the big issue
Gotcha.
is gas spikes take down Livepeer network. Like, big red flag. Like, that's what I just posted here for notes and tagged Rick. The 1-2. I just think, like, for the low, like the non-critical issue is like educating gateways on what reserve and deposit mean. That could be like a nice little band-aid to help guide that process while it is not actually affected by gas or any of this stuff. It's just an onboarding, nice to have.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry.
So just for context, Titan, prior to the first project that the Livepeer Cloud Gateway worked on, where we were documenting the broadcaster, how to set it up, what reserves and deposit, there were just about 8 gateways at that time. And if you look today, there's 30. So the little bit of education that we put forward on the documentation allowed, 22 additional gateways to come online. And I think is part of that is the AI work that's been going on. I think that's also contributed to it. But it just goes to show that just a little bit more clarity. We got, how many more gateways coming onto the network. And if we could simplify it further and even educate even better, I think that might help enable a lot more gateways to come online. So I think it's an important point.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, documentation is important.
Yes. Keeping it simple is important too.
Very good.
Well, I had to make it simple enough for me to understand.
Okay, we've been at this for 2 hours.
Yes.
I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Making Livepeer the open and decentralized video infrastructure in the world. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
All right.
Great job.
Hey guys.
Peace.